You probably caught yourself slouching at your desk today, and you probably blamed it for that dull ache low in your back. You sat up straighter for a few seconds. The ache didn't go away, so you decided your posture is broken, and somehow that became the whole story. But what's actually happening inside your body is far more surprising than a slouching problem. Posture barely shows up on the real list of causes behind chronic back pain. Today, you're going to learn what your spine is actually reacting to. You'll learn why two people can sit with the exact same bad posture and only one of them hurts. And you'll learn what doctors who specialize in spine pain actually tell their patients to do instead of sitting up straight. Let's start with a number that surprises almost everyone. In 2015, a team led by radiologist Walid Brinjikci pulled together imaging data from thousands of people who had zero back pain. None. Ever. They scanned these pain-free spines anyway, just to see what was there. The results, published in the American Journal of Neuroradiology, were almost hard to believe. Over a third of pain-free 20-year-olds already showed disc degeneration on their scans. By age 50, more than 80% did. These were people walking around, working full days, living completely normal lives with spines that looked damaged on paper. So, if disc wear doesn't predict pain, what does? That one study quietly broke one of the oldest assumptions in medicine. The assumption that a spine which looks bad on a scan must feel bad in real life. Here's the part most people miss. Your back has a pain system, and that system isn't only measuring tissue damage, it's measuring threat. Think of it like a smoke alarm in your house. A good smoke alarm goes off when there's a real fire. But a smoke alarm can also go off from burnt toast, or a candle, or sometimes nothing at all. And once it's been triggered enough times, it gets twitchy. It starts going off at the smallest provocation. Your nervous system can do the exact same thing with pain. Researchers call this central sensitization. Your spinal cord and brain become more sensitive to signals over time, amplifying pain that no longer matches what's actually happening in your tissues. This is why two people can have nearly identical posture, nearly identical scans, even the same desk job, and only one of them lives in pain. The difference usually isn't in the spine itself, it's in how loud that alarm system has become. Quick myth to bust here, because you've probably heard this one 100 times. Sitting compresses your spine and slowly wrecks it. Sitting does increase pressure on certain discs, that part is true, but your spine is built to handle pressure. That's its entire job. Dr. Stuart McGill, a spine biomechanics researcher who spent decades studying real patients and cadaver spines at the University of Waterloo, found something that surprised even him. The spines that failed under load weren't the ones that moved the most. They were the ones that had stopped moving at all. Stiff, guarded, overly protected spines broke down faster than spines that stayed strong and stayed in motion. Movement, not perfect posture, is what actually protects the structure underneath. So if it's not your posture and it's not really your discs, what is actually driving most chronic back pain? 3 things show up again and again in the research. None of them are sit up straighter. The first is deconditioning. When your back hurts, the instinct is to protect it. Sit carefully. Avoid bending. Skip the gym for a while. That feels responsible, doesn't it? But muscles that stop being used get weaker, and weaker muscles get irritated more easily. It becomes a loop. Pain causes guarding. Guarding causes weakness. Weakness causes more pain the next time you bend down to pick something up. The second is fear itself. This sounds strange, so stay with it for a second. Physiotherapist and pain researcher Peter O'Sullivan at Curtin University has spent years studying why some people recover quickly from back pain and others stay stuck for years, even with nearly identical scans. One of his clearest findings is this. People who believe their back is fragile, who think bending or lifting will damage something inside, tend to move less, brace more, and report higher pain over time. The belief itself becomes part of the problem. Your brain treats a movement it considers dangerous very differently than one it considers safe, even when the tissue underneath is exactly the same. Have you ever noticed you can lift something heavy without thinking twice when you're distracted? But the same lift feels terrifying the moment you're focused on your bad back. That's not weakness. That's your alarm system reacting to a belief, not to actual damage. The third factor rarely makes it into any posture advice, but it shows up constantly in pain research. Stress, sleep, and overall nervous system load. Poor sleep, high stress, and low mood don't just feel bad on their own. They turn up the sensitivity of that pain alarm system. The same disc, the same desk chair, the same job, but a body running on 5 hours of sleep and constant deadline pressure registers pain far more easily than a well-rested one. Here's a number that should change how you think about treatment entirely. In study after study comparing posture correction programs or generic core stability routines against simple, progressive movement and graded activity, the movement-based approach consistently wins for long-term pain reduction. Not because anyone's spine got realigned, because the alarm system calmed down and the muscles around the spine got genuinely stronger. So, what actually helps, based on what this research keeps showing over and over again? Move more, not less, even when it's a little uncomfortable at first. Gentle, consistent movement like walking, swimming, or controlled stretching sends your nervous system a clear message that the area is safe. That's the exact opposite of what guarding and protecting sends. Build real strength gradually, instead of chasing one perfect sitting position for 8 hours a day. A strong back tolerates imperfect posture far better than a weak back tolerates a perfect one. That single sentence is worth pausing on. Watch your sleep and your stress level the way you'd watch a symptom, because in a very real sense, they are one. Improving sleep alone has been shown to reduce reported pain intensity in people with chronic pain, independent of any change to the spine itself. And be careful with the language you use about your own body. If you've spent years telling yourself your back is weak, damaged, or a ticking time bomb, that belief is doing more work than you'd expect and not in a direction that helps you. None of this means posture is completely meaningless, and it definitely doesn't mean you should ignore real warning signs. Numbness, weakness in a leg, or pain that spreads down past your knee deserve a proper medical evaluation, not a video. But for the everyday ache that flares up after a long day hunched over a laptop, the slouch you keep blaming probably isn't the real culprit. Think about how this changes the next time your back aches after a long flight or a long day of meetings. The old instinct is to sit up, freeze in place, and brace for the worst. The research suggests almost the opposite. Get up, walk for a few minutes. Let your spine move through its normal range instead of holding it rigid. That movement is doing more for your pain system than any amount of perfect alignment ever could. So, go back to that moment this morning. You caught yourself slouching, and you quietly blamed it for the ache. But what was actually happening wasn't a structural failure in your spine. It was a sensitive alarm system reacting to more than just your chair. A body that had quietly stopped moving as much as it needed to. Maybe a few too many short nights of sleep. All of it showing up as one familiar ache, in one familiar spot, and getting blamed on the easiest, most visible target, your posture. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Today, take a walk. Not a posture check in the mirror, not a back brace, just 10 minutes of comfortable, ordinary movement. That one unglamorous habit does more for a sensitive back than sitting up straight ever will.